You can imagine the reaction in Brazil when Macron, and you guessed it, Justin Trudeau, started lecturing Bolsonaro on the Amazon fires and even threatening economic retaliation. That's the attitude of a colonial master a bit, I think, it must have seemed. I say Canada because Trudeau retweeted Macron as a Me Too, piling on so bravely. Except the picture that Macron included in his tweet, it was a fake. I mean, it was a real photograph, but not of the fires this year in Brazil. He used a fake photo, disinformation, fake news, and Trudeau retweeted it because he's that stupid. I'm still waiting for the CBC fact check on that one. I'll be waiting a while. Macron and Trudeau are two weird dudes. I'm sorry, I showed you that image of Macron kissing his teacher who then left her family to marry him. Here's Trudeau's version of that sort of weirdness.
Because you're very handsome.
Thank you, Justin.
Kiss him.
I think because...
Yeah, that's weird. Here's how the American press covered Trudeau's arrival at the G7. This is from the White House press pool. Trudeau arrived and immediately embraced Macron in a tight hug. The two leaders patted each other's backs several times and made small talk on a walkway overlooking the ocean below. That's so romantic. Here's a photo of the last time they met. I'm just sorry to say that is weird. I know in Europe they do the cheek kissing thing, or sometimes it's just an air kissing thing, but that hands behind the back, full body-to-body frontal embrace, that is not a Europe thing. That's a Trudeau and Macron creepy thing. Sorry if you don't like me mentioning it. If it were Trump doing that, you know that photo's weirdness would be on the front page of every newspaper in the world. So Trudeau and Macron not only thought they'd flex against Brazil on forest fires instead of against China for trade or on anything meaningful, and also so very generously, Trudeau and Macron agreed to chip in a few $1 million. Yeah, thanks for the trinkets, guys. I mean, Canada itself spends $500 million to $1 billion a year fighting our naturally occurring forest fires. These Amazon fires are so big, it's a multi-billion-dollar job. The few millions offered by Trudeau and Macron weren't about solving the problem. They were about virtue signaling, concern trolling, as the kids say. Just an expensive press release so they could say they were really concerned about this Bolsonaro guy. And you know, it's not just partisan politics because they chipped in a few bucks because obviously Bolsonaro's not doing enough. No. Bolsonaro isn't part of the French-Canadian hug club. I know the media loves both Trudeau and Macron, but their own citizens don't. Trump's latest poll numbers put him at 50%. Trudeau's are at 33%. Macron's in the 20s. I'm going to guess that pushing back against Trudeau and Macron will do just fine for Bolsonaro in the polls back in Brazil. Trump saw an opening, by the way. He'll let the little pishers of the G7 insult Brazil. He'll show support, and he'll probably get a great trade deal out of the thing, too, for Americans. I mean, if these little socialists, Trudeau and Macron, want to push Brazil closer to the U.S. orbit, Trump will take that all day. Trudeau's pretty gross when it comes to Bolsonaro. I don't know if you remember this. I mentioned it before. When Bolsonaro won his election, after being stabbed, for God's sake, Trudeau and his useless foreign minister, Chrystia Freeland, they sent out the traditional press release, as is done when a country has an election, but this one was so weird. It didn't mention Jair Bolsonaro at all, let alone congratulate him. Certainly no congratulatory phone call, just some weird congratulations to the Brazilian people, but not saying who they voted in their outstanding election for which they need to be congratulated. It was such a bizarre diplomatic snub. But that's because Trudeau and Freeland and their weird team of millennial know-it-all, know-nothings, the same people who botched India and botched China and botched Saudi Arabia and botched the NAFTA renegotiations, they thought this would be a clever snub. Yeah, no. As hard as it is for Trudeau to believe, he needs Brazil more than Brazil needs him or Canada. That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. Every day, I do a video monologue, and then I interview an interesting guest, and then I end by reading my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at therebel.media/shows.